Hello students, welcome to this class of operations research. So from last three lectures we have been studying about the simplex method, right? And we have seen that how it's different from the graphical method. This method is basically based on iterations, right? We use this method to solve the linear programming problems, okay? And we have came across various terms and concepts, like we have seen what are the slack variables, right? And we have also seen that we have introduced two new rows. We have written the table for the initial basic feasible solution, and we have added two horizontal rows in that table. What was those rows? One was the objective function row, that was my ZZ, and another was my profit or cost per unit row, that was my CJ minus ZZ, right? So we have basically done the calculations for these in the last class, and we have seen that how these rows helps us. We have also added the theta column in last class, right? And we have seen that the main thing that we have to look for is the basic variables. Okay, so my Cj minus Z0, the maximum positive element in my Cj minus Z0 was acting as a key element, right? And the minimum positive element in the theta row was acting as my key element. Okay, the difference was Cj minus Zj element was my entering variable, or I can say incoming variable, and the theta row was my leaving variable. So in last class we have seen that S1 was the leaving variable and X2 was the entering variable. So what will happen now? S1 will go out from the basic variables list and X2 will enter into this list, right? So we can see over here. So basically what our task in this class, we are going to, in last class we have discussed that there are multiple iterations when we are studying about the simplex method. So in last class, first of all, we have drawn the first table that was called initial basic feasible solution. Okay. After first table, I have done some calculations. I have calculated theta values, ZZ values, and then now my task is to now I have also checked that this scene is not optimum. Okay. I have seen this is not optimum. Then I will prepare the next table to check for the optimality. Now I will draw the next table. What do we have? How we check the optimality? We have seen that until Cj minus Z0 has no positive element left in it, that that question is not optimized. My problem is not optimized, or I can say my solution is not optimized. I will have to keep on doing the iterations until and unless I got all the negative or zero elements in my Cj minus Z0. Okay. So now we will do the next iteration, preparing next simplex table. So what we have seen, this S1 will go out and X2 will enter. See here what I have done. X2 enters here, and initially S1 was here, S1 goes out. These things will remain same. These things will not change throughout my question. Keep this in mind, don't get confused. This is very simple method. Even you practice 2-3 questions from this simplex method, you will easily get that. Okay, so x1, x2, s1, s2 will remain here. Okay, but this thing will keep on changing until my equation is optimized. Okay, so while doing my first iteration, I came to know that earlier here was s1, right? Now s1 goes out and x2 enters. Okay, and we have seen how we decide that which variable enters and which variable leaves. If you do not remember them, then please refer to last lecture. We have clearly discussed that how to check which variable will leave and which variable will enter. That was simplex method part 3. Okay, so yeah, so what I have done now, I have entered here x2, and what was the cj corresponding to x2? That was my coefficient, it was 4. So I will write 4 here now. Okay, these CB variables will be corresponding, always correspond to x2 or x2 or my basic variables. Okay, that are written here, the CJ values. These are my CJ values. Okay, so here I've written 4. Now I will again calculate the ZJ value. I told you in last class how to calculate ZJ. 4 into 1 plus 0 into 1, 4. 4 into 1 plus 0 into 1, 4. 4 into 1 plus minus 1 into 0, 4. Now 4 into 0 plus 0 into 1, 0. This is my ZZ value. Okay, now I will calculate Cj minus Zj. How to calculate Cj minus Zj? This is my Cj. 3 minus 4 minus 1. 4 minus 4, 0. 0 minus 4 minus 4. 0 minus 0, 0. Right? And similarly, I have calculated here B. Here B is 450, and this will be 600 minus 4, that is 150. Okay. So now we can see that in my Cj minus Zj equation, you can see here there is no positive value, right? There is no positive value. What does this implies? This means my solution has been optimized. Okay, I have reached the value of 1800, and this will be my maximum value, and this is my solution that I was looking for. Okay, see what's written here. Replace the living variable with entering non-basic variable. Corresponding CB is changed to value 4, the coefficient of x2 in the objective function. Make the key element as unity and other intersection element as 0 by suitable row operations. Okay, yeah, that process will remain same as we have done the earlier in earlier class. We have made the key element 1 and other element as 0. That we have to repeat. That procedure will keep on repeating in each iteration. Okay. Now, what's written here? If every element in row Cj minus Zj is either 0 or negative, optimal solution is obtained. This is my optimality test that we have discussed in last class. And how to check whether my optimal solution has been reached or not. So I came to know that I have got not no positive element. So already I have obtained the optimum solution. Or else, if let's say now if that's been the case that here I have got the plus one, just assume that here I got the plus one. Then what we'll have to do? We have to do one more iteration, and the process again will remain same because this was the positive element. So this will be my key row, and my x2 would have been the living variable, sorry, entering variable, right? And the minimum from here would have been my living variable. Okay, there those rules will remain same, just you have to keep on repeating the process until you get the Cj minus Z0 to be all negative or zero elements. Okay, that's the simple process. So hence the optimal solution is x2 is equal to 450, x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to see x2 is equal to 450, and we will not consider this is senseless to us. Why? Because slack variables are actually not present. We have just assumed these slack variables in our objective function. Actually, slack variables doesn't exist in our objective function, so we will ignore those, ignore the slack variables, and we will take into account only x1 and x2. So here x1 is not present in my basic variable. It means that x1 is equal to 0. We are not using x1 here. So x2 will came out to be 450, and my Z max is 1800. So now this paragraph is very important. Let's see what it says. S1 does not exist in the basic problem. That is, capacity of machine M1 is fully utilized. That is, its 450 minimum are totally used in making product. S2 exists in the basic problem with value 150. It means 150 minimum machine M2 remain unutilized. See what it says is that in our basic solution that we have seen here, right? Here we had S2. Okay, it doesn't play a role in x1 and x2, but what does it signify? What does it implies? It means that as we have completely utilized the capacity of s1. Okay, what was the s1? 450, and we have completely used that. And s2 exists in the table. It means that with the value 150, it means 150 minimum of machine m2 remain unutilized. It means there are about 150 machine elements or whatever m2 is, as per our problem statement, they are still unutilized. Okay, element in Cj minus Z0 under slack variable S1, S2 show the shadow price resources of machine M1 and M2. That we have already seen what is shadow price. Okay, what is shadow price? Shadow price is basically that if I add or remove that one resource, how much it will impact my objective function or my output profit or my cost. Okay, that is, if machine M1 is made available, one minimum more profit will increase by 4 rupees. Yeah, that's what shadow price is. So the company must increase resource in machine M1. So basically shadow price basically helps us to calculate where we should invest, right? like it will tell us whether you should increase the manpower or which you should increase your infrastructure. We have already discussed it in our earlier classes. Since machine M2 is not fully utilized and has zero shadow price, it is not required to increase the resource of machine M2. Now that's very important point. See, in this equation, we have seen that only our M1 resources are completely utilized. We have still have about 150 of our M2 resources that are unutilized. So if your manager or someone asks you that where should I invest my money, then and if you are telling him to invest in M2, that's completely senseless. Why? Because you already have free resources. You already have 150 amount of resources available in M2. So what you will guide him, you will tell him to invest in M1 because you have already completely utilized those resources and you might need more to make extra profit. You already have the abundance of M2 resources. Okay. Okay. Now this is note. This is also very important. Now we have done this problem and we have studied. I hope that simplex method is clear to you. But you have to keep this in mind that this simplex method that we have written, it was for maximization problem. Okay, our problem statement was to maximize the objective function. Now there might be a problem out there in the real world scenario that where you have to minimization problem, right? Like you might have to minimize the pollution, you might have to minimize the cost. There could be any minimization function. Okay, that concerns you. So in case of minimization problem, what will be the change in these iterations? There is a very small change. If problem is minimum z, it will be solved similarly except maximum negative element in Cj minus z0 will be taken as key column. Okay, so what we have done in maximization problem, we have taken maximum positive element. But in case of minimization problem, we will take maximum negative element in Cj minus z0 and that element will be the variable corresponding to that element will be incoming variable. Okay, and yeah, here is the optimum solution will be obtained once all the elements of Cj minus z0 are 0 or positive. So here the thing is opposite. Earlier we have seen that optimum solution was reached in maximization problem when we had all the elements as 0 and negative in Cj minus z0. But in case of minimization problem, all the elements will be either 0 or negative. So basically these are just a game of positive and negative. You just have to keep this in mind. Okay. Key row will be selected similar to max z case. That key row will always be selected in similar way as we have selected in the maximization problem. We have to select the minimum value. Okay. From our column. Minimum positive element. That will remain same. Okay. Okay. So I hope this is clear to you. Yeah. I will give you some questions now. I will just share with you. Okay, and you try yourself by doing the simplex method, and if you like, you can do it graphically also. Just try both ways, you and the concepts will be clear to you. Okay, okay, fine. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, we will meet in next class. You can put your doubts on comments, or you can email me also. Bye bye.